Behold, the Grand Canyon. Hold up. That's Floyd's Cliff, and no, this isn't right. Hold on. Sorry, this is the Grand Canyon. That's right. For our vacation, we flew from Texas to Arizona to visit the Grand Canyon, a flight which all my avid geography nerds will know allows you to take this shot out of your airplane window. Since I knew I was coming here, I started researching video ideas. For example, I could talk about the scientific controversy about the age of the canyon, since some recent studies have suggested that instead of being 5 to 6 million years old, there's some evidence to date it as old as 70 million years. And who doesn't love a good scientific controversy? And of course, while I'm used to the idea that in geological terms, huge numbers mean nothing, that is still a massive difference. I could discuss the way that the Colorado Plateau was forced upwards thousands of feet by tectonic plate movement, which partially helped form the canyon. I also considered talking about why this canyon became so deep and so large when so many others didn't, but after a little bit of research, I realized that wasn't actually true. Hell's Canyon in Oregon is deeper than this one, and the Yarlung Zangbo Grand Canyon in Tibet is 2 miles deeper than this one. The Grand Canyon gets great press, but it's not the only game in town. All of those were definite maybes until I read a couple of words that changed my mind entirely. There is a phenomenon associated with the Grand Canyon whose name is destined to become the title of my memoirs: the Great Unconformity. How could that not be the subject of the video? One thing I knew about the canyon, and which you probably do too, is that it has these layers that build up over time. And I used to think of them as sort of like rings of a tree, sort of progressing year after year over time. But that analogy is not entirely accurate. If it was, it'd be like a tree where one ring represented 10 years ago and the very next 100 or 1,000. Or in terms of the famous children's game, duck, duck, duck. Duck, goose. Down here, there is a huge gap in the temporal record. The layers do, in principle, represent the passage of time. Each layer is deposited on top of the next sequentially, as you would expect. The so-called Great Unconformity represents a giant leap. A layer that is about 250 million years old is sitting directly on top of a layer that is about 1.2 billion. In other words, there's a gap of about 950 million years between 2 layers. And this gap is not just found here. It is found in many places across the continent. This is one of the better places to see it, but it is a widespread phenomenon. So what is the cause? Well, there's more than one theory. Here are the 3 most widely believed theories. First, some scientists believe that the timing matches the breakup of Rodinia, a one-time supercontinent that actually preceded the more well-known Pangaea. Once again, the original is forgotten in favor of a later knockoff. As Francis McDonald, a geologist at UC Santa Barbara, said, the basic hypothesis is that this large-scale erosion was driven by the formation and separation of supercontinents. The theory goes that as it broke up, there were massive shifts in the Earth and a significant chunk of rock was thrust upwards, exposing it to the forces of erosion. A second theory is one that plays double duty with the disappearance of the dinosaurs. One dinosaur extinction theory blames a giant meteor crashing into the Earth and causing massive changes. According to Giorgio Sokalis, one result of this was the exposure of the calcium layer of the Earth's surface to rain and other water. The calcium layer is high in potassium, which reacts violently with water. There was a brief but intense chain reaction that turned a significant portion of the ground into ash and clouds that blocked the sun, suffocated many animals, and deleted a chunk of the ground. Finally, one of the most widely held theories is that the missing layers were merely scraped off by glaciers. According to Brendan Keller from UC Berkeley, who said, "We think that the glaciers eroded at least 1.6 vertical kilometers of the Earth's crust on average across all the land masses." According to this theory, the missing layers were dumped into the ocean like so many empty water bottles. Glaciers may not be so different from us after all. Whatever the true cause, the Great Unconformity is just one of the elements that makes this natural phenomenon so special and unique. The Grand Canyon is both spectacular to see and fascinating to explore. There are those who look at this and are inspired to understand it, to figure it out, to learn how it was made. The scientists, the engineers, the creators that move our society forward. There are those who look at this and just want to sit and appreciate its sublime beauty. The artists, the poets, and so forth. There are those who choose to ignore it, the worst of humanity who always have something more important to do. And finally, there are those who look at this and see it as content and make a video about it, who, standing upon the shoulders of others, make jokes on YouTube. But it's a pretty view, right?